Okay, so needed a break, but so their son Adam lived in the house with his wife. He abandoned it after several paranormal events. After his death and with the family fortune spent away, his wife sold many of the home's antique furnishings and generated some income, letting the fictional Seattle Horror Society give tours of the house. The tours ceased in 1972 after a participant disappeared while on a tour of the mansion. Investigations for paranormal events were conducted on the property in the 1960s and 1970s, but these also ended and the house fell into disrepair. Okay, so the miniseries began in the year 2001. Stephen Rimpere, the grandson of John and Ellen, has inherited Rose Red. He has been offered a substantial sum of money to have the house torn down and the site developed into condominiums. He is intrigued by the paranormal history of the house and has agreed to allow one more investigation of the mansion. That, my dear people, is where it went wrong. Wrong. No, you don't do that. The miniseries opens with a prologue set in 91. The young autistic girl, why does she have to be autistic? Annie Wheaton is drawing a picture of a house as her parents and older sister Rachel argue outside of her room. As she draws lines down over the house in her picture, rocks fall through the roof on an identical house belonging to an elderly couple down the street whose dog had bitten Annie, severely damaging the building. I understood. The setting now switches to 2001. Dr. Reardon is a professor at a fictional Vermont University who teaches classes on psychic phenomena. Kevin Bowling, a reporter for the campus newspaper, specifically questions her about a trip she will be taking to Rose Red, an ostensibly haunted and abandoned mansion in nearby Seattle. Seattle. Can't talk, I'm stuttering, why? Professor Carl Miller, Joyce's departmental chair, who questions the validity of Joyce's research, orders Bollinger to follow Reardon and spy on a meeting with the group of psychics she is taking to Rose Red. The group includes Victor Kadinsky, an elderly precognate with heart disease, Pam Ashbury, a young psychometric, Kathy Kramer, a middle-aged automatic writer, Nick Hardaway, a telepathic with remote viewing capabilities, and Emery Waterman, a young post-cognate. What does that mean? I don't know. I'm scared. The group meets with Steve Rimbar and the last descendant of Ellen and John Rimbar. In an auditorium at the college. Bollinger takes a photo of the group joining hands in a circle, and the photo in an article ridiculing Reardon are published in the campus newspaper. Dr. Miller takes Bollinger to Rose Red and drops him off, instructing him to obtain additional embarrassing photos once the group of psychics arrives. Kevin is greeted by Sukina at the front door, who tells him that he is expected, not realizing she is a ghost. Bollinger enters the mansion. He becomes trapped in the solarium where he is pulled off screen by an unseen force. Unseen forces I found my other pen. Unseen forces are fun, aren't they? I mean, come on, we all want an unseen force to drag people out of the way. I'm joking. I wish I had telekinesis. Telekinesis would make my life so much easier. The backstory of psychics. Okay. This one's gonna get weird. Emery Waterman and Annie Wheaton are introduced. Emery is a rude, sarcastic, and obnoxious young man under the control of his domineering mother, Kay Waterman. The audience learns that Rachel Wheaton now cares for Annie Wheaton, who rarely speaks and who refers to Rachel as sister. The audience also learns that Dr. Reardon is having a sexual affair with Stephen Rimbert. Okay. Well, I mean, in all horror movies, don't know why, but it's there. The element's there. Although the film remains unclear whether she loves him or is merely using him to gain access to Rose Red. It's probably that last one. I'm just theorizing. Joyce and the group of psychics, joined by Rachel and a teenaged Anne Wheaton, arrive at Rose Red. The team tours the mansion. Joyce and Stephen point out that the home contains many optical illusions as well as upside-down rooms and a library with a mirrored floor. The team finds Bollinger's cell phone and Steve calls Miller to confront him over his attempt to discredit the group. That night, Emery sees a ghost of an actress that disappeared in the house decades earlier. Pam dreams of the decaying body of Kevin Bollinger. The Wheaton sisters are visited by a ghost under the bed and in the closet. And Kathy sees something moving under the carpet and her blankets. Late in the night, Pam is lured outside to the garden. Well, yeah. This is a lot of the same elements of that were included in the movie The Haunting with Owen Wilson in it. So I'm kind of a little bit aggravated at that movie. Although I knew there was a familiar element to the movie at the time, I was just like, what even is this mess? But I didn't think about it actually being mocking Rose Red at all. The next morning, Dr. Miller receives a mysterious voicemail message from Stephen saying that Bollinger slit his wrists and wrote Miller's name in blood before expiring. Who uses the word expiring before expiring? He died. He didn't expire. He died. What is that? That is not a good use for that word. I'm sorry. A message that clearly was not sent by Stephen, but a trap set up by Rose Red and its inhabitants. Alarmed, Miller drives to the mansion. Kay Waterman, too, has driven to the mansion after being unable to reach her son via cell phone. The two arrive simultaneously, and the cars collide in the driveway, and Mrs. Waterman swerves to avoid what she believes is a figure running across the road. Terrified, Mrs. Waterman begins to run through the forest on the grounds of the mansion while calling for her son. Miller, wanting to get her insurance information, pursues her inside Rose Red. Emery hears his mother's cries, but dismisses them as an auditory illusion created by the haunted house. Well, I don't want that to be my child, do I? On the other side of the house, Pam leads Vic into the garden and toward the pond with a statue of Ellen in it. She suddenly disappears. When Vic looks down into the pond, he sees what he believes to be Pam's dead body. He attempts to pull her out of the water, but the body vanishes and he's left clutching only her nightgown. He panics and runs back toward the house. Looking back, he sees a statue come to life and has a heart attack. Vic tries to draw the attention of Emery, who is inside the house, and Emery again believes this to be an apparition and refuses to open the window. Nick arrives and tries to open the window, but it will not open and the glass cannot be broken. Vic collapses and dies in full view of Emery and Nick. Out in the woods, Mrs. Waterman is stopped and knocked unconscious by the ghost of Kevin Bollinger. The ghosties! I don't like the ghosties. I don't like ghosts. I don't like ghosts or supernatural beings of any kind, actually. They terrify me. Annie Wheaton has discovered a dollhouse that is a replica in miniature of Rose Red. While standing on a chair in an attempt to reach the dollhouse, she falls and is knocked unconscious. Rachel Wheaton and Stephen Rimbar see her fall in an attempt to render her first aid. Meanwhile, on the other side of the house, Rose Red's windows and doors mysteriously open again. Emery Waterman realizes that his mother's screams were not an illusion. Rushes outside to look for his mother. He runs into Dr. Miller, who wants him to stay away, and then flees. Emery chases Miller but cannot catch him, so he returns to Rose Red. Miller, continuing to frantically run around the grounds of the house, is found and attacked by the ghost of Kevin Bollinger. Kevin's he's a turd in death. He's just a mean little ghost. Emery attempts to convince the others that they should all leave. They refuse, and Emily tries to depart on his own. As he does so, he runs into the ghost of Pam Ashbury and Deanna Petrie, the movie star who vanished in the house in the 1940s. Emery has the power to make apparitions disappear by repeating the phrase, "not there," and avoids the deadly fate of his mother and Dr. Miller. As Emery is about to leave Rose Red, Annie Wheaton wakes up and via psychokinesis causes the doors of Rose Red to slam shut. Emery's hand is caught in the door and some of his fingers are severed. While the others assist Emery, Joyce Reardon asks Annie to continue to keep the doors and windows sealed, promising to give her the dollhouse if she does so. Okay, you see my point when I said it was probably because she wanted access to Rose Red that she was sleeping with the guy? Yeah, I don't think she cares about any of their well-being enough to care about someone else. So, no. Steve, however, soon discovers that he is able to communicate with Annie telepathically, and she begins to form a friendship with him. Okay. I'll tell you this. I see why this movie scared me when I was little. It kind of creeps me out now. Later, Stephen relives some repressed memories. Aren't those always fun? I hope I don't have any of those. I don't think I do, actually. Of a visit to the house with his drunken mother, during which a ghostly Ellen Rimbar appeared to him and called on Stephen to aid her in continuing Rose Red's unending construction. Okay. Okay, so, repressed memories. The only repressed memories I should have are of movies like this that scared me. Or that one time I was taking a nap. Not going into that. Not going into that house being haunted right now. No thanks. Emery, meanwhile, suspects that Annie, not some spirit of Rose Red, is keeping the house sealed. Nick confirms Emery's suspicions and then informs the group that Kevin Bollinger appeared to have hanged himself in the library. Why do that? The library is it's such a nice place. It's my favorite place. Why would you hang yourself there? Don't put bad vibes in my library, people. That's what the horror books are for. The group begins to speculate that Rose Red has never been in a dormant state, and the mansion's supernatural powers are linked to Annie and Stephen, whose psychic abilities become apparent only when he is in the house because of his familial connection to the property. Can't speak. Nick correctly guesses that Joyce brought the psychics to the house in an attempt to reawaken Rose Red rather than simply investigate it. The wounded Emery suggests that they... Why is he wounded? Why is he wounded? Dude, bro, you can't do that. Okay, this website ticks me off now. It's like, reawaken... The last thing it says is, reawaken Rose Red rather than simply investigate it. And then, the wounded Emery. How did he become wounded, please? Suggests that that Annie be killed in order to allow everyone to escape, alarming the rest of the group. While in the kitchen, Kathy Kramer is visited by Mrs. Waterman and is rescued by Nick. The two decide to tie the deranged woman and decide to leave her in the kitchen. Why leave her in the kitchen? The knives are there. They agree not to inform Emery so that the unstable young man does not become more unbalanced. A ghostly Sukina appears and drags Mrs. Waterman into the dark wine cellar. I fully understand why this scared me as a child. It's kinda creeping me out. As Nick and Kathy, head back toward the main hall, the house changes them around and they become lost. A mysterious shape under the carpet chases them and they flee. The shape begins to catch up and Nick shoves Kathy into her room and slams the door behind her. Turning around just in time to see a skeletal monster rushing up to him. With silence in the hallway, Kathy opens the door again, but finds no sign of Nick or the entity in the empty hallway. As the house continues to change around her, Kathy ends up in the attic, suddenly overcome by the urge to automatically write. She witnesses the murder of John Rimbar by Ellen and Sukina. Steve and Rachel, meanwhile, decide to look for Nick and Kathy. They find Kathy in the attic, where she is about to be attacked by a corpse-like creature. Their presence seemingly prevents the house from acting, and the corpse drops lifelessly to the floor. The corpse's withered left arm lets them deduce that the carcass is that of Stephen's missing great-aunt, April. It's almost over, oh gosh. The group reunites in the main hall. Emery attempts to attack Annie with a fireplace poker. Using psychokinesis, Annie animates a suit of armor and attempts to kill Emery with a halberd. Neither attack succeeds, and Joyce calms both individuals. In an attempt to uncover the secret of Rose Red, Steve creates a telepathic link between Kathy and Annie, and Kathy begins to engage in automatic writing. Annie begins to draw pictures of boulders striking the house, smashed doors and broken glass, and soon doors and windows all over the house are opening and closing violently, and glass is and glass in the windows shatter. Rocks begin to fall, destroying Mrs. Waterman's car and causing severe damage to Rose Red. Kathy automatically writes, "Help us. Open the doors," prompting Annie to unseal the house. Stephen, Emery, Kathy, Rachel, and Annie make their escape from Rose Red, but Joyce, now clearly insane, refuses to leave. The group is attacked by the spectra of Ellen Rimbert, but Annie prevents Ellen from coming after them. Mrs. Waterman's ghost leaps from a mirror and attempts to draw Emery into the spirit realm. With the assistance of Stephen and Kathy, resists his mother for the first time in his life, and Mrs. Waterman vanishes again. The survivors flee to their cars as boulders rain down on the house. Back in the house, Joyce suddenly realizes too late that she does want to leave, but is surrounded by the ghosts of Rose Red: Nick, Pam, Victor, Mrs. Waterman, Miller, Bollinger, Sukina, Ellen Rimbert, and Deanna Petrie. She screams in terror as the film fades to black. 6 months later, the survivors visit Rose Red. Just before the mansion is due to be demolished and replaced by condominiums, it remains unsaid whether or not the evil that inhabits the house will leave with its destruction or go on to curse the condos. They pay their last respects to the dead by placing the red roses to the path leading up to the house. As they drive away, the theme from the movie A Summer Place can be heard, and the ghosts of Ellen, Sukina, and Joyce Reardon watch as the survivors part from the tower window. Okay, I know what my mom meant about the mirror now. It freaked me out that someone come through the mirror, I guess. I understand myself a little bit better now after this. This is terrifying. I understand why I was scared of it now.